Continuing the last point that we tried to make about the fact that Birkat HaMazon should come after you eat, when you still feel sated from that meal. I mean, what are we supposed to do when we go to a dinner honoring a very good friend of ours? You know that the minhag at dinners is to serve a lot of food and then to have a lot of speeches. Lots of speeches could take a long time. And the benching in many of these dinners takes place after all the speeches are done and after all of the prizes have given out, etc. So first of all, it's a good idea if you're organizing the dinner not to do it that way, but to organize benching soon after you eat, and then to have the extra entertainment, the video, the speaker, etc. after Birkat HaMazon. I know that the organizers are probably afraid that everybody will run out and go home, but we've got to start off with the better way. Now, the Mishnah Berurah, in response, even though he wasn't talking about dinners necessarily, but the Mishnah Berurah says this. He says, if a person eats a meal, and then time passes, and then he remembers, this is the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Katan Yud Chet. Yud Chet in Kuf Pei Dalet. And then he remembered that he didn't say Birkat HaMazon after he ate. You know, this time of feeling sated passed, so he can't say Birkat HaMazon, because the previous eating has been eliminated. He's no longer in the state of eating, so he can't say the Birkat HaMazon. He says, of course, there is a caveat. If he finishes eating and then he does something else and he forgets entirely about the fact that he was participating in a big meal, then of course, he should not say Birkat HaMazon. He says, nevertheless, there is another option. He says, in a meal, in a su'udah, like a wedding and some great assembly of people where a lot of time passes between the end of the meal and Birkat HaMazon, the Mishnah Berurah says, maybe you could say Birkat HaMazon, Kevan, since B'toch Meshech Hazeh, during that period of time that passed from the end of the meal until Birkat HaMazon, he does continue eating. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on the table that enables him to continue kind of eating. It's not exactly the meal, but it keeps his mind on the meal that he ate, and therefore it's all considered su'udah achat. It's all considered one su'udah, and it's as though the food that he ate in the su'udah has not been totally absorbed into his body. So that we understand that the fact that food keeps coming out after the meal is over, the coffee comes with cake, which comes with mints, which comes with fruit, which comes with endless other stuff that you could keep eating, is of course in order to make sure that the chiyuv d'oraisa, that the biblical obligation of saying Birkas HaMazon after you eat and you have the feeling of V'savato, that biblical obligation is in fact fulfilled without any safek, without any doubt. And so make sure when you go to a fancy affair and they're serving a meal, the rule of thumb is keep eating. Don't stop until somebody announces Birkat HaMazon.